Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Cinnamon Stitches. I'm your yarn host Jennifer and today we have a tutorial. Okay, we have a tutorial. I'm going to show you two different versions of this shawl. This shawl is called the Barbara Ann because she was my star. Now this shawl is made out of Chroma from KNitpicks and is beautiful. It has wool in it, and if you can't use wool, you don't like wool, or you're really sensitive to wool, you're not going to want this, but I do have an alternative. Prism from Mary Maxim will also work really well for this pattern, as will Ferris from Lion Brand. I will link all three of those yarns below, and they all will pretty much work up like this. Okay, this is the one I made. That's the prototype. The one I actually made for the tutorial is this one right here. I made it in more Southwest Arizona style colors. As a matter of fact, this yellow is called Arizona Gold. I held it two together. All this information is going to be in the tutorial. It starts off with a star shape. As you can tell, the star shape is not as prevalent as it is in the self-striping yarn, but this looks more butterfly, which I'm here for. Okay, it looks more like a big butterfly, right? It's beautiful. The ends are fished. This is not as long as I want it to be. The tutorial, I used 3 balls of, actually I think I used 4 balls of Chroma for this. I think 3 balls of Prism would work, and I know for a fact 3 cakes of Lion Brand Ferris wheel would work. The main body of the shawl, the star part, is 1 entire ball or 1 entire cake. Unless you're using the Chroma, I think I used 2 cakes or 2 balls of the Chroma for this because I think it's slightly less yardage. So I think this is off memory. Get 4 of the Chroma if you're using Chroma. Get 4 of the Chroma for this, 3 of the Prism, or 3 of the Ferris wheel, because 2 for the Chroma for the main body, or 1 ball or 1 cake of the Prism or the Ferris wheel worked, and then either end is another whole ball. I just went until I ran out of yarn. So 1 ball here, 1 ball here, and you just go until you run out of yarn. That way we're not counting rows. I also do in the tutorial, in case you're using scraps like I did with the other one, I tell you about how many rows to do to get that size, and I give you an idea of the size of what it should be. Is this not beautiful? This tutorial is dedicated to Grandma. Barbara Ann is the name of the shawl. That was Grandma's name. And so this is Grandma's shawl. This is also wool. This is higher end wool that I held 2 together. Worsted weight yarn will work. Self-striping yarn will work. More specifically, a self-striping yarn that does not have hard breaks that fades into itself like Scarfy would work. Okay, so the main body, I started with the main body. I bordered it in red, which you really can't see right now, and then we broke off, and you do 1 whole ball on one side and 1 whole ball on the other side, and you make a mermaid tail. I'll walk you through. It is so easy. It's all granny stitch. Is easy. There is a pucker here. There's gonna be a pucker there. It's fine. That pucker ain't gonna bother you. And as a matter of fact, that pucker kind of lands on your shoulder, which I will show you at the end of the video as well. This one is nowhere near done, but I'm filming it because I want to get the tutorial out by Friday. See how the pucker hits my shoulder? It just works. And it lays good on your shoulder. The fishtail, the mermaid tail, actually will fold over your arm if you make it short like this. And it kind of just like hangs out. You could also, I discovered while I was filming the end of the video 5 seconds ago, if you would have smaller arms, you could attach this under the arm and you got like built-in sleeves. I'm just saying. So I think this is really pretty. It's really unique. It's really fun. This shawl, this tutorial is dedicated to Grandma. It's my way to pay tribute to her. And if you watch the video about Grandma, you will know that I have been donating shawls on her behalf for about 7 years now, and only me and Grandma knew that. Well, and my sister, because she helped. But yeah, stay tuned. I used a 5.5mm hook for the tutorial. And I believe I used the 5.5 millimeter for this as well. Use whatever is comfortable with the yarn that you're using. Hook size does not matter. And the size of the yarn, I mean, you can make the shawl as big or as small as you want. And honestly, the center part, if you wanted to just make a star-shaped shawl, just continue the center part until you have 3 balls worth, or until it's big enough to wrap around you. It will also make a shawl if you just continue that way and you don't want the fishtails. I'm banging my stitch markers on stuff. Thank you so much for watching the tutorial. Now let's go down to the table. Alright, so we are going to be working on this shawl today, and this is a very unique shawl. It starts off as a star shape, and then we give it, I'm going to call it mermaid tail wings. So it's a wrap slash shawl. It goes around your shoulders like that. I'm talking about the yarn we're using for this tutorial. I plan on filming a better intro than what we're talking about right now, but I wanted to talk about the yarn because the yarn I had originally planned for this, I have changed my mind. But I'm going to tell you guys what yarn I suggest you use, which is a really good idea. And I will post links to the yarn in the description box. They are affiliate links, which means I earn a very small percentage back if you decide to purchase this yarn or this yarn, which I'm going to give you a recommendation of both of these yarns. And I'm also going to give you a third recommendation that I don't think I have on hand. This shawl was made with KNitpicks. What is the name of this? I just got stuck. Hang on. I got tangled. Chroma. This is Chroma from KNitpicks, and this is a wool-based yarn. This has wool in it. The reason I really like this yarn is I've never worked with Chroma before. Chroma comes in a ball like this, but I don't have any more. I'm also giving you an alternative, acrylic alternative. The reason I really liked the Chroma is because much like the Prism yarn or the Ferris wheel yarn from Lion brand, and those are the 3 yarns I'm going to recommend for this shawl, the colors fade into each other. So see how it slowly graduates from yellow to green here, or from this lighter purple to the red, like it slowly fades. It makes the color change less drastic, and there's no hard breaks in the color, which is why I really think that is the perfect yarn for this. The Chroma I love. I really enjoyed working with this. It's soft, it's squishy. It has some of the characteristics of wool, but it doesn't feel like prickly and sticky to your skin. It's a very soft wool blend yarn. Really, really liked working this up. If you have a wool allergy or you don't like Chroma for some reason, Prism is from Mary Maxim. It looks very similar in the ball. It really does. It comes in some of the almost same colors. It has the same characteristics in the way that the colors shift, as does Ferris wheel. Ferris wheel's a cake. These are the 3 yarns I'm going to recommend the most to you for this project. Prism has the fuzziness, and it has some of the look and feel that it has wool in it, but it does not. This is 100% acrylic yarn, but it has some of the same look and feel as the Chroma from KNitpicks. So if you have a wool allergy, I highly suggest the Prism. Prism goes on sale quite frequently. It's a beautiful yarn. It comes in gorgeous colors. I have made another tutorial in the Prism. I made a little a miniature cardigan. I don't remember what I called it. Sunshine and Rainbows something or another. It's a cute little like half top cardigan, like shrug cardigan, and I made it with the Prism. I think I made it with this colorway, which is gorgeous. So you can use the Prism. This colorway of Prism is Rainbow, and this one is Tropics, and it's much more jewel toned. Or the Ferris wheel. The Ferris wheel from Lion brand will work exceptionally well because it has some of the same feel and colors as this version, which is the Chroma. What I'm using is I'm actually holding yarns together, and the reason I'm doing that is because this shawl is dedicated to Grandma, and Grandma is very much an autumn. She's an autumn. These are yarns that were hand dyed for me from a company that no longer dyes. Actually, these two were. I don't know what this is. These are all wool bases. I have this one on hand just in case. This is going to be my main color, but I'm going to hold it two together. These are all, these two are DK weight. This is fingering, and I'm guessing this one is probably DK weight too, or close to it. I think I'm going to start with the yellow held together with that because Grandma, who this shawl is dedicated to, loved the Southwest. She loved Sedona. She loved Arizona. And these colors just fit her, so I've changed things up. I was gonna use the Prism, but luckily for me, well, not luckily for me, I don't have enough of Prism to make this. What I'm gonna suggest, if you buy the Prism, if you buy the, or if you have some on hand, you need 3 balls of Prism or Chroma, or 3 cakes of the Lion Brand Ferris wheel. The first cake is going to be the star shape. This part, this section of the shawl, the star, is going to be the first ball, the first cake of the yarn, and each wing is a whole cake, a whole ball. That is how we measure it. That's how we keep track of it. It's going to be a little bit difficult for me because I don't have that yarn and I have different yardages here that we're going to work with. But I'm going to tell you, if you're working with scraps or yarn like I am, the first section is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 rows for the main section. So this first section I'm going to show you is going to be 24 rows on my part, which I probably need to write down so that I have notes. 24. Brand new pen. It's got a little rubber tip on it. This is why we don't write patterns, because this is, I wrote a star in 24 rows. Alright. That's my idea of writing a pattern. I am using, for 2 held together, a DK and a fingering, which kind of equates to a worsted. I am using a 5.5mm hook. This is an Amazon purchase from Merit Woodworks, or Merit something or another. I will try to remember to link this below too, because I always get asked about that hook. I also need to get rid of my black mat because that's not good for filming. Alright, so the base of this shawl is going to be a 5-point star, so we have to start with making 5 points. So I'm going to start with a slip knot, and we're going to work our stitches into the slip knot. Okay, make a slip knot. I'm going to actually lower you guys a little bit so you can see what my hands are doing. Yeah, it looks a little bit better. Alright. 5 points. A pointed star. We're going to chain 3. 1, 2. Actually, no, chain 4. Chain 4, because that first one counts as our hole. Go into that very first chain and put 2 double crochet. This is going to count as our granny stitch. Okay. And we're going to chain 2. This is our first point. Go back into that same first stitch that we created, the slip stitch, and put 3 double crochet. Oops. I grabbed the tail and I didn't mean to grab the tail. 3. Chain 2. Go back to that same stitch, put 3 more double crochet. Chain 2. 3 more double crochet. That same stitch, that very first stitch we created. Okay. See how much that stitch stretched out? Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so we created 4 granny stitches. There's a granny shell here, a granny shell here, granny shell here, and a granny shell here. Alright, now it's time to turn and do the next row. We're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, turn our work. In this very first stitch, we are going to put 3 double crochet, or 2 more double crochet. So the first chain 3, this is our increase. A double crochet, or chain 3, 2 more double crochet. I'm going to chain 1, and in that peak right here, we're going to put a granny shell, which is 3 double crochet. Put a chain 2, that's our increase, it's at one of our points, and 3 more double crochets. So granny shell, which is 3 double crochet, chain 2, granny shell. Now we're going to chain 1. And in this next point right here, we're going to put the same thing. 3 double crochet, chain 2, we're going to listen to Bentley whine some more, and 3 more double crochet. So I need to move those back so that I have more leverage on pulling my yarn out. Oops. Benny, please stop. Benny. And we're going to chain 1, and then because this is a chain 2 space, we're going to do another increase. So granny, chain 2, granny, or 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. I need to put my glasses on. I can't see. Everything's blurry. And I think I left them upstairs. Alright, now we're going to chain 1. And in that very last stitch, you're going to put 3 double crochet. Okay, so what it should look like, see how it's kind of a square? Alright, so we're on the next row. We're going to chain 3, put 2 double crochet in that first stitch. Every row is going to begin and end with 3 double crochet, or the equivalent. So a chain 3, 2 more double crochet, and the end row will always end in 3 double crochet. Alright, now this is where it's going to get a little weird, a little funky. We're skipping this stitch entirely, and we're only working in the corner here. So pull everything apart so you can see. These are the first 3 double crochets. That's a chain 1. These are 3 more double crochets. This is the first corner. We're going to work in that corner. We're not going to chain 1 or anything here. We got our 3 double crochet. We skip all the way over to the corner, and we're going to put an increase, which is a granny, chain 2, granny, 3 double crochet is a granny, chain 2, 3 more double crochet, okay, so this is like one of the corners of the star. So the second corner of the star. We're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to skip all of these stitches right here and go to the next corner where the next chain 2 space is. And we're going to put granny, chain 2, granny. Chain 2, granny. See how skipping that stitches isn't giving you the points of the star? You do the same thing over here. Skip all of these stitches and go to the corner and put an increase. Granny, chain 2, granny. chain 2, granny, now we're all the way back to the beginning. We're going to skip all these stitches, and then in the last stitch we're going to put 3 double crochet. And chain 3, turn our work. That's what it should look like. We got our little peaks and valleys. And I know it's hard to tell with this yarn. I'm simultaneously working it in another yarn as well, because I'm making sure I got all my stitch count right. So this is a long been discontinued old yarn I got from the thrift store, in case anybody wants to know. All right, in this very first stitch, like with every row, we're going to put 2 more double crochet. So chain 3, 2 double crochet in the first stitch. Alright, now this next row, we are going to go into this next space here where there's not a chain, and we're not doing chains in between anything. So we'll do a granny shell, no chains, and in the next space, which is right next to this right here, it's just the first space right there, we're going to put a granny shell. This is technically our valley. Then we're going to go up to our corner, which in every corner, every time you reach a chain 2 space, you're going to put an increase, which is granny, chain 2, granny. So that's what we're doing here. 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. Next space, put a granny shell, 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3. And in the next space, that's a corner, so we're putting another corner or an increase. Granny, chain 2, roll away yarn. Granny, chain 2, granny. Next space, that's our valley, so we're just going to put a granny shell. Got a corner there, so we're going to put an increase. 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. If you ever feel like I'm going too fast and you're having a hard time keeping up, at the top corner of the screen, like right here, there should be like a little, on your TV, there should be a gear. Kind of looks like this. Something like that. Okay, it's a weird gear. It should be right here. Hopefully we're on the right side of and then this ain't reversed, but if you click that, it will let you slow down or speed up how fast this video is going. And you can slow down, and I will start to talk like this, and it's kind of creepy, but we're going to go into this next hole here and just put a granny shell. And if you've slowed me down now, I'm really slow. Alright, and then in that very first stitch right there, we're going to put, or the very last stitch of the row, we're going to put 3 double crochet. So we start and end every row with 3 double crochet. Believe it or not, those are also increases. Alright, this is what we have. See, even though we kind of filled in those gaps, you can still clearly see where the points of the stars are supposed to be. And I know it's not a full star, but it's a star-shaped shawl. The next row, we're going to once again increase in every row. We're going to increase in these peaks. We're going to put our 3 double crochet. We're going to put our increases in these 3 peaks here, and then in between we're going to try to create valleys and still add stitches in. So we're going to start the row like every row, chain 3, flip it over, 2 double crochet in the same stitch. All right, now alright, we're just going to go into the next stitch, the next chain, or it's not even a chain space, the next space between the grannies. That's where we're working. This is just a normal granny star. We're going to put 3 double crochet, in the next chain space we're going to put 3 double crochet, and in that corner, you guessed it, we're going to put an increase. 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. In the next space between grannies, put a granny. We reached a corner, so we're going to put an increase. This is kind of the increase as you just go on. You're just going to keep repeating this row. You're just going to chain 2, granny. You're going to put an increase on every one of those peaks. It's like you're creating a bunch of, well, I guess you're creating the peaks. You're going to have 3 peaks here, and this technically counts as the other 2 points of the star. So you're just going to keep building it the same way. You're going to put, if you see a hole in between grannies, you're going to put a granny shell. If you're at one of those peaks here, here, or here, you're going to put an increase. You're going to do this until you use up your entire first ball of Prism or Chroma, or your first cake of Ferris wheel, or until you reach approximately 25 rows. So let's see, the Prism is 290 yards, so let's round that up to 300. You're going to need approximately 900 yards of a worsted weight yarn or a DK weight yarn to make a decent sized shawl. I'm going to continue this in the round, well, not in the round, I'm going to continue the star shape until I reach 25 rows. We just keep doing this over and over again, and it will keep growing, it will keep being a star, and we're going to keep doing that until we reach 25 stars, 25 rows, or until you use up the entire first ball. Now if you're using the Prism, the Chroma, or the Ferris wheel, just go until you use up that entire first ball. And you can mix and match colors if you want. I'm going to be real honest. You can mix and match colorways. The Ferris wheel in particular, if you have more than one colorway of the Ferris wheel, or even the Chroma, actually I'm going to say all 3 of them, you can mix and match colors. There are colors very similar to each other in each one of those lines of yarns, to where they will have 1 or 2 of the same shades in the variegated part of it. And so, yeah, just if you're using the Prism, the Ferris wheel, or the Chroma, keep going until you use that whole first ball. It's just easy to do it that way. And if you made the Mulberry Street shawl, this construction is very similar, except instead of just the straight triangle in the middle, this is a star shaped in the middle. It just makes it a little more special, a little more unique. I'm in the last stitch of the row, so I'm putting 3 double crochets in the last stitch. We're going to continue the same on repeat until you have an entire ball used, or you have about 25 rows. So far, if you want to count the rows, the best way is to go down the peak, and each time you see one of these clusters, it's a row. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We're at the 5th row here. You can also do it at either of these corners, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're good at recognizing what the stitch end of the stitch row looks like, you can count along the edge too, but I find it easiest to just pull at the center row and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So see how there's kind of a little butterfly here. Boop, 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 boop. That each one of those is a row. And let's see, I'll give you another way to measure it in case you're using scraps like me, which I don't have a problem with you doing whatever. So this is 25 rows. So from top to bottom, down the center of the star is about 18 inches or 46 centimeters. Yeah. So there you have it. I'm going to keep going until I have about 25 rows, and I will meet you back and show you how to do the wings. Alright, I quit at row 23 because it was getting to be where it was a good size for me, for what I wanted. And let's see, 23 rows. I also used the entire first yellow cake. Let's see, from the center down, we are at about 18 inches, 45, 46 centimeters. So we're right where we're supposed to be for size. So this is what the center, I don't know if I can get you guys up any higher. Let me try to raise you up so you can get a better idea of what this should look like. Alright. Move everything over. This is what we have going on. So we have a point here, a point here, a point here, and then this is the top of the shawl. What we are going to do next is we're only going to work on this side, okay? And then we're going to flip it over, and then we're only going to work on this side, and we're going to create the wings that go out. So what the shape of the shawl should be when we're done, let me find my pen I just literally dropped. The shape of the shawl should be, I'll show you up close so I'm done drawing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It should look like this. Oh, that looks like underwears. We're going to work on this side here, and we're going to create a peak, so it's going to look like this. Okay, and then we're going to come back and do the same thing on this side, and it's going to look like that. So it's going to look like whatever that looks like to you. Bat wings, mermaid tail, whatever you want it to be. And by doing this, we're going to put decreases down the center section, all the way both sides. Those are going to be decreases, this side and that side. This creates a tuck, so it will create a peak. So we're going to have this peak, and then this peak here, and it's going to be cool. So I'll show you. Once again, I'll remind you what the other one looks like. Now this other one is slightly different because we did it slightly different. This one was a mistake, so we're adjusting our mistakes while working with the other one. So this was the first one. See how we have the star and then the wing is an arrow, which looks really cool with the self-striping yarn. And then we have the little fishtail on the end. Again, this is a mistake. This is not even or equal. This was me just playing and practicing. This pattern, this tutorial looks much better with a self-striping yarn such as this, but I'm not hating the way it looks. So what I did was when I ran out of the yellow, I switched to red and I did a border in the red. So I still held the red together with the variegated. We gave it a nice solid border. And now I'm going to do the wings with the brown. held together with this. So whatever colors you want to do, if you want it to be more like this one, 3 cakes of self-striping yarn, it will be beautiful. You will love it. If you want it to be more solid, more constructed this way, just stick with me. I'll show you how to do it. All right, now I am going to cut the red because I'm done with the red. I really just wanted the red to be a border of the star shape. And actually, cut that off a little bit up here. Done with the red. I'm debating whether doing the brown, this brown, or doing this one. Maybe I'll do, and see, here's the thing. The reason you need 3 cakes, unlike me who's using all kinds of pieces held together, is you do the main body in 1 cake and then each wing is its own cake. Whereas what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to weigh this and cut it in half and do half of this on one side and half of this on the other. And this is 250 yards, so I'm going to have to do the wings in 2 different colors. I'm wondering if I should, I'm debating on how to do this. See, if I ball this one up, that's 400 yards. I will have more on either side. This is all part of the planning process, guys. So I need equal amounts of yarn for either side, which is why I say a ball on this side and a ball on this side, or a cake on this side and a cake on that side. If you are using scraps like me, you're going to have to try to divide them. So if you have one of these, I'm going to have to divide this equally into 2 equal size cakes so that I can put equal sides on the either wing so that the wings are the same measurement. But yeah. I dropped a stitch. I dropped part of the stitch. There we go. Alright, now we're just going to tie the brown on. We're going to figure it out. This brown is called maroon, but it's not very... This cake is tight. We're going to pull from the outside. We're just going to make our life easier. I'm going to pull from the outside. I'm going to join with a cute little thumb knot. You can join your yarn however you want. You could tie off the previous yarn and attach new yarn that way if you want. Like whatever. See, that's why I don't do this on camera. Every time I try to make this knot on camera, I screw it up. Every time. I can do it 100 times by myself on the couch. I'm going to bring you guys back down. We're going to go for a ride. You ready? Oh, come on. Woof. There we go. Now we're here. We're here. We're here. We are here. We are here. I learned this from MJ's Off the Hook. It's a good knot. Almost invisible. Alright, so like I said, we're only working along from the very first part to the first corner and back and forth. Okay? What you need to do before we do anything, okay, is you need to figure out what row you're on. I'm on row 23. And I did a few little mess ups here and there, so my stitch count might be off from yours. Even if we're on the same row, I might have a different... I did a little bit of like fudging as we went along because that's how we do. So if your number's different than mine, even if you're at row 23, it's okay. You kind of need to be in an odd row so that you have an odd number of spaces, because we need the dead center stitch to be an odd stitch, and you need an equal amount of stitches on either side. So camera is tipping a little bit, which means it's not on here tight enough. This first stitch here is going to count as a granny stitch. Let's just put this granny stitch in so we don't get confused. Chain 3, turn our work, put 2 more double crochet. That's our first granny stitch. Okay. Now I already counted, so I know how many stitches I need to go over. So we're going to have one here, and in each space is going to be a granny stitch. So we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I already know that my 10th one is the one we're going to skip because that's where I'm at, I think. So that's 10. And I'll go from this side. That corner counts as a granny. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's still the 10th stitch. So that's the dead center. We're going to mark it with a stitch marker. This one right here where my finger is. With Santa Claus, because why not? Santa! That's the stitch we're going to skip. That's going to be our decrease stitch. Okay? And then I got a palm tree in here. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm only showing you how to work one side because you're going to do both sides exactly the same. But if we go here, we should have 21 stitches all the way across. So there's going to be one here in the first stitch. And then each hole where we normally put our granny. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I'm going to mark that. Make sure we have 10 on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's the 10th stitch. Your number might be different, okay? So I have 9 stitches on this side. There's going to be 9 granny stitches on this side. There's going to be 9 on this side. And this stitch is not going to get a granny stitch at all. Don't worry, I will walk you through this. It sounds difficult, and I'm probably making it more difficult than it needs to be. Bentley pops the door. Go lay down. Alright, got the new color added. We got our first granny in the very first stitch, like we've done every other corner. And next we're going to put a granny. Oops. Every row, because we're only working this one side, it should start with a chain 3 and 2 double crochet like we have every other row. And at this first corner right here, we're going to have one granny stitch, one granny shell on that corner, and then we're going to turn and go back. So every row is going to begin and end in the equivalent of a granny. I actually kind of like this color. It's looking very pretty. So we're going to do granny shells in each hole just like we normally did. This is not complicated. It actually gets a little bit easier. Of course, I've been crocheting too much today, so my wrist is crackling. Snap, crackle, and pop. Let me untangle my yarn a little bit. I was working on this earlier while watching The Princess Diaries. Gotta love Joe, man. Hector Elizondo just does it for me. That man is such a little cutie. And the way he protects her. Love that movie. Juju put it on. She said we just need a Disney movie kind of day. I said, well, in between me filming this tutorial, we can watch Disney movies to your heart's content. And that's pretty much what we did. I'm going to grab my yarn ball. Hang on. If I can find it. I can find it. This will work. Alright. I got Big Sully. I know you guys probably can't see it. Plastic yarn ball, it's divided. I'm going to put, because my cakes are wanting to run at me, I'm going to put a cake on either side so that there's not any problems. And one cake is center pull and the other one's outer pull, so we're going to see how this actually works. See how I did that? I'm going to close it. It's got a lid. Let's see if that helps me at all. Say no, it's not helping. And we got a knot. We'll bring up the base, that'll hold it still a little bit better. Let's try that. Alright, back to stitching. we're just going to put granny shells all the way across. The only difference between this side and all the other rows we've done is it's only going back and forth across the side instead up and around the whole length of the shawl, because we're working outward and making a wing, and we're going to skip a stitch every row. So we got our grannies all the way up until we reach that stitch marker. If you need to, you can absolutely move the stitch marker. Alright. So see how we have the stitch marker right here? You see how Santa's just hanging out right there? This is where a granny shell should go. Right? We're going to skip this whole section. So we have, the shawl is trying to pull off the edge of the table. So we have this granny stitch. This is supposed to be a granny stitch. We're going to skip all of this area, and we're going to skip over to the next section where the granny stitch is going to be. Okay? I'm going to try to pull my stitches apart so you can see. There's a granny stitch here. We're going to skip where Santa is, which is the dead center of the row, and go to the chain or the empty space after that. So we're skipping a granny shell, a space, a granny shell, and going over here and putting a granny shell. This is going to create the V for the mermaid tail, or whatever you want to call the wing, right? Now if you need to, you move Santa up. Right there. Because the next row, we're going to skip this stitch again. We're going to put a granny shell here, skip this, and put a granny shell on this side. And then just granny shell like you normally would till you get to the other side. Till you get to that very first corner of this row. I really like these two colors together. It's so pretty. I told Juju I'm struggling with this shawl because I'm not liking it. And I remember when I made the one out of the Chroma, I didn't like that one either until it was done, and then I was like, wow, this is beautiful. So if you're feeling like maybe you don't like this shawl right now, just keep working it. I promise it works out. It's beautiful in the end. I don't know why during the process I hate it so much. I'm trying to love it, but you guys know, there's a lot going on in my life right now, and my heart's not in it as much as I want it to be, and I'm just giving it my all. I'm just giving it my all. I've had a couple of things where I've had to delete footage already, and just my brain is not functioning, but I thank you guys for hanging in this tutorial with me and doing this with me. It does mean an awful lot to me. So, with that, I am loving this color. Oh, if you guys don't remember, this this variegated yellow, pink, and orange yarn that we're holding together is a yarn I purchased from the yarn yard sale, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. Okay, we're on the corner. We're just going to put one granny shell. This is the end of the row. 3. That's the end of the row. That's what our row should look like. It's not nothing fancy. Okay, we have a granny shell at the end of the row. We have a granny shell at the beginning of the row. And in the dead center, we're going to skip a stitch, and it's going to, instead of being flat like this, it's going to bring it like this. Okay, we just got to keep working it. Alright, chain 3. Turn our work, because now we're just working back and forth. And in that first stitch, we're going to put 2 more double crochet, because every row begins with a granny, and every row ends with a granny. Okay, in every space in between all the grannies, we're going to put a granny shell, 3 double crochet. I am definitely going to recake this brown because it is wound way too tight. And I know for a fact I wound that with my old ball winder because I remember doing it. And that ball winder, I would always have to recake them 2-3 times because they would just be way too tight. So we're going to just repeat this same row over and over again until you run out of your second ball of yarn. This color's just so pretty. That darker color makes these colors pop. It's almost looking like neon on my camera. I don't know what you guys are seeing, but my little screen is like, ooh, that's so bright and pretty. Alright. So we are back to the Santa Claus. We're going to skip this entire section. So we put a granny shell on this side. We're going to skip this granny shell. Skip the shade space where we moved Santa to. Skip this granny shell and go to that space. And put a granny shell. This is our decrease. Every row is going to have this decrease in the middle. And if you need to, you keep moving that stitch marker up where you made the decrease at. So you can keep track. I mean, there's going to be a bigger gap there because it's going to want to pull. If you need to keep moving that stitch marker up, you do it. And eventually this is going to start to be more of a fishtail. Because this is going to pull in and these are going to poke out because these are technically an increase. So this is our one row repeat, and you're going to do this on both sides. Both sides, do an entire ball of yarn on both sides. So depending on what yarn you're using, if you're using the Ferris wheel cake, if you're using the Prism, a whole ball would, or if you want to stop at a certain point and say, hey, that is long enough, you can absolutely do that. It's your shawl. Because not everybody's as tall as me, which means your wingspan is not as tall as mine. And that is perfectly okay. But what I'm doing is the equivalent of a whole ball per side. And that's what I did with the Chroma version, is I did 3 balls of Chroma. The main body was an entire ball, and each wing was an entire ball. Actually, I'm trying to think. I think with the Chroma, I used 2 balls for the body. I'm not 100% positive on that. So, there you have it. Just go granny stitches all the way down every row until the wingspan. Now, this peak right here at the bottom, the center peak, this is going to be where the center of your spine is. So if you hold this where our starting stitch was at the nape of your neck and you wrap this around your shoulders, if this wing wraps around your shoulders to a length that you like, you can quit at that point, or you can keep going until that point. But for me, I measured it by number of balls or number of cakes. So I know that the Mulberry Street shawl, if you made that one, you know that we did the same thing with that. We did 3 balls of Ferris wheel. The center triangle was 1 cake, and we're at the corner with the very first part of the stitch. So we're going to put our 3 double crochet in that corner, right over the top where that thumb join is, where we knotted the 2 yarns together. Forgot what I was saying already. Mulberry Street. It's the same idea. The only difference is we are putting a decrease here to give this a peak and a valley. Okay, just repeat this. Turn when you're done with this side. Turn it over and do the other side exactly the same. That's why I already showed you, put the stitch marker there. Just save your time now. so that you know that it's the same size as the other side. Go from there. Let's see. The Chroma version has, this is our first row, and I can see that because there's the corner. So this is the first row of the wing. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. 33 rows for each side of the wing for the Chroma version. So if you repeat this for around 30 rows, you will have a really decent size or length of a shawl. Obviously this one looks like it's less rows. It's not as wide, but I'm also doing a thicker yarn, so that might make a difference, but just keep going until you have about 30 rows. Or less or more, like whatever, it's your preference, it's your shawl. Our tutorials here on Cinnamon Stitches, we don't hold tight to hard rules. So I always give you guys options on how to adjust this to fit what you want, to fit your needs. We're going to start the row with a chain 3. We're going to turn. We're going to repeat the last row. So whatever you do on one wing, you need to do on the other wing. We start the row with a granny stitch. We do exactly like we did in the last row. We do granny stitches until we get to that stitch marker and we skip that stitch. That's our decrease. We begin and end every row with a granny shell. It's not horribly complicated. My brain is just questioning everything that comes out of it. Like, did you explain it right? That doesn't sound right. What are you saying? I'm confusing myself. I am more than likely going to have to change color again before I get to the end of this, because I only have one skein of the brown. The maroon, it's called maroon, but it's really brown. I may have to switch back to the red at some point towards the end. But I'm going to divide these balls up so that they're equal weight. Because, like I said, I know how much this ball weighs. This ball is, do I know? She didn't put ounces on there. Oh, 115 grams. So I have to divide 115 by half and pull out some of that yarn, which is going to be easy. So I'm going to color control it that way. But I'm absolutely going to have to color control it. Alright guys, I've given you all the directions you need to complete this. Finish this wing, do the other wing. I will come back and show you the finished product. And then after that I will film the intro for this video. And if you make this, I want to see it. If you decide that you're going to donate on behalf of Grandma, who this shawl is dedicated to, you don't have to tell me. Her name is Barbara Ann. You can do it in her memory. I would totally appreciate that. And you can donate to lots of places. Donate to cancer institutes, places where people have to have chemo done because they get cold during their chemo treatments. Donate to a retirement facility or a rehab facility. She never lived in a retirement facility, thank goodness, but I see Grandma and a lot of older people. And I go out of my way to help older people when I see them struggling, because I would want someone to do the same for Grandma. And I just thank you for participating in making this or any of the shawls. Any shawl at all, and donate it on her behalf. I've had so many people contact me and say they were going to do that in her memory, and me and my family, Mr. Cinnamon especially, cannot thank you enough for that. But I do, if you do make this, I want to see Grandma's shawl. I'll be back when this is finished. Alright, we are at the end of the tutorial. I have not finished this, but I wanted to show you what it looks. I don't know that I'm going to finish it right now just because of life. Be real honest. I wanted to show you what we have and what it's supposed to look like. So, this is the shawl. And yes, there is puckering here, but it's fine. And I'm going to show you why it's fine. There's puckering here because we did the decreases here to create the fish tail, the the mermaid tail, whatever you want to call it, to give it that extra little special. It's a little something extra, okay? But that little pucker there, don't worry. That's for our shoulders to fit in. Watch, this is magic. Okay, you see where I'm going with this? It's like cute little shoulder pads almost. It does work out though. It works out. It will eventually stretch out a little bit, but it does there's a little bit of a pucker, and if you have that, it's normal. This is not as long as it's going to get, but I'm at the point where I've run out of most of my yarn, so I'm working with scraps. As you can tell, it's a different color right here. I ran out, but see how it fits over your arm? Isn't this cute? Okay, now hear me out. I'm thinking you could attach the two little peaks right here and seam it up under your arm if your arm ain't as big as mine. And this could be a cute little like wrap, right? Here's what the back looks like, right? Okay, so this is what it looks like. We're gonna call it done because I want to get this tutorial up by Friday. And in order to do that, I'm gonna end the video here and I'm gonna edit and upload it because you guys get a general idea of what it's supposed to look like. See how it's got it's almost like a butterfly wing shawl or something, and then that cute little fishtail thing. So it's done. I'm gonna call it done. I will work on it in my spare time to actually finish it and get all these ends cut off because I'm connected on both ends. I'm using my big Sully yarn thing. I had 2 balls on this side and 2 balls on this side because I'm holding 2 together, and it worked out so well. I had to go in my scraps and find something that kind of matched, but not really. And I think the full ends are going to be red and brown held together as I throw it on the floor. Of course, you will not have this problem if you use either the Chroma, which is this. See, there's just a little bit of puckering. Nothing serious. This is the Chroma. The Prism will look like this in different colorways, as will the Ferris wheel from Lion Brand. So, this is meant to be an over-the-shoulder wrap. If you're going to church and your arms are a little cold, this is meant to cover your shoulders. See how it just... that little pucker helps it go over your shoulders better. I don't know why. I don't know why it works. It was totally an accident on my part when I designed it to have that, but it works. And see, this one is much longer. Of course, I didn't weave in none of my tails. I think this one actually is more fitting of grandma style than that one. But either way, it's my Barbara Ann shawl. And I'm probably going to make several more, and I'm going to absolutely donate them on her behalf. Because I've been doing that for, I think, 7 years now I've been doing it. So, I hope that you will make one of these. See how much prettier it looks with the colored pop. See, this is why I recommended Chroma, Prism, and Ferris wheel, Lion Brand. Also, if you have some of this Prism laying around from Joann's, this will work too. Either or. Either or. This looks like it will work. Coffee Shop from Premier Yarns would probably work, but it's thinner and that does have wool in it. And I'm not real positive on the other new yarn, Rave, which is more neon colors, which is more of a Cinnamon Stitches colorway. I think that might work, but I'm not positive because I have not worked it up. I don't know how the colors break. I don't know if they fade, but there are your options for this tutorial. Or you can use something from scrap. I mean, I'm also, on a side note, I'm working with Scarfy. This would work. This would be beautiful. So, lots and lots of options. I will link the ones I recommend the most, which is the Chroma, the Prism, and the Ferris wheel. I will link those 3 yarns below because I think they will be the most beautiful in this shawl. I thank you so much for bearing with me this week. I thank you for doing any of my tutorials, and I've had so many people reach out to me about Grandma, and I've had so many people say that they're going to donate shawls on her behalf, and I cannot tell you how much that means to my family. And just thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.